Hello and a warm welcome to Federal Special Program Capital Beat. It's Delhi Police versus Himachal Pradesh. How highway turned into a Bollywood style showdown as Shimla cops book Delhi cops for kidnapping. If you look at the whole case, a 24-hour standoff between Delhi and Himachal Pradesh police on a Shimla highway concluded early Thursday after a dramatic confrontation over the arrest of three Indian Congress youth activists, and the dispute involved barricades, counter FIRs, and midnight court appearances, ultimately ending with the Delhi team leaving with the accused after sharing a seizure memo. So they've been sent back to Delhi on a transit remand, but there are questions as to why Delhi police, without informing, tried to arrest those three Indian Youth Congress workers. And what does the larger story speak about? Is this collapse of the federal structure? Is it the biggest mockery of the police itself? And also, is it a jurisdictional clash? Joining me this evening is Sanjoy Ghosh, who's a senior advocate and also fighting the case of the Indian Youth Congress workers in that AI Summit shirtless protest. Thank you so much, Sanjay, for joining. We have TK Rajalakshmi, senior editor with the Frontline. Thank you so much for joining. And I'm also hoping to be joined by former IPS officer, Mr. Yashovardhan Azad. Sanjay, to begin with you, what does this case look like? I mean, without informing the Himachal Pradesh police, Delhi police thinks of arresting three people, then there is a counter FIR, midnight court appearances, and then it again ends in sending back those Indian Youth Congress workers with the Delhi police. What does it show about the entire police system, about the administrative machinery of the two states?
See, in fact, I tweeted about this yesterday, I think evening or this morning. The whole principle, and let me tell you, that every political party is responsible. You can't say political party A or political party B. And that is that for the last 30, 40 years, the civil society has been fighting for police reforms. And one of the police reforms is to insulate the police from the political executive. It has happened in civilized countries like Canada, the United Kingdom, Sweden, Switzerland, Australia, where the prosecution and the police have a measure of independence. Now, unfortunately, we don't have this in India because every political party would want to control the police in the state wherever that political party will come to power. So there is a consensus amongst all political parties that there will be no police reform. They want the police to be subservient to them. So what you are seeing today is actually this farce playing out. A police controlled by one party and a police controlled by the other party. Both of them are subserving the interest or as they are directed by their respective masters. So far as Delhi is concerned, you know who's controlling the Delhi police. They are under tremendous pressure despite the lack of manpower, despite the demoralized force, because they hardly have overtime, they have excessive duties, recruitments don't happen in time, crime protection, VIP duties, all that is added. And there is Delhi is one of the most unsafe capitals in the world. And yet the focus is to help the political master create this fake story of this national conspiracy of this shirtless gang, that you have to make arrests from all over the country so that you ek hawa bana doge and then you will tell the court, see, we have made arrests from, in fact, at the remand hearing also they were saying, oh, we have to make arrests from Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh and Jammu and Himachal.
No, but there's also, Sanjay, but there's a whole question that you can just see in these visuals a handful of Indian Youth Congress workers. It's not that like they are in scores and in dimes and dozens. You can just see a few of them on the screen. And the way the police is going about in Shimla, then you're talking about police is getting after people of the Indian Youth Congress in Uttar Pradesh. In Delhi, what does it go to show? I mean, they are not terrorists.
Yes. Nilu, let us take your argument and just spin it. You are absolutely right. There are 5, 6 shirtless people. Let us say that the Indian Youth Congress, hypothetically, let us say the Indian Youth Congress has decided that they are going to manufacture 30 lakh t-shirts, and they are going to make all their volunteers wear it, and they are going to do a protest or a dharna on one particular day and call it shirtless day or Epstein day or Modi day or whatever it is. I am asking myself, what is the crime in that? Public printing a t-shirt is not a crime, wearing a t-shirt is not a crime, as long as there is no intent to cause harm in the form of violence, in the form of breaking a law. So this whole thing, this conspiracy, this whole angle is absolutely a farce. In fact, that's what I had argued in the remand, that the greatest enemies of India, the greatest anti-nationals are those who are manning the police today, who have reduced this to a farce where every civilized democracy is laughing at India. Then look at you, you could not even digest. You are supposed to be the fourth largest economy in the world, such a strong person. You have got national honors from 28 countries, and you can't digest 5 shirtless people. So who is the greater anti-national? Who is giving our nation this laughing stock title, this shame, or 4 or 5 people who have just exercised their right to dissent?
No, but Sanjay, it's also about the manner in which the police has conducted itself, whether it is Himachal Pradesh or whether it is the Delhi police. And obviously, they are working under certain directions. And like what you said, that they have not been insulated from the political executive. But what does it go to show about the policing system, the manner in which they are being used as puppets? They are almost like puppets in the hands of the political executive. What does it
See,
show?
I'll
And
give you,
also about the
I will,
jurisdiction. No, also
Neelu,
about the jurisdiction, if you could
yeah.
comment. Yes.
Yeah, Neelu, let me give you an interesting example from a real life. As I said, I'm a senior advocate. Whoever comes to me, I appear for them. I was appearing in the Central Administrative Tribunal just up to last month for the senior most police officer of the state of West Bengal. You will not believe it that this government has even politicized something as apolitical as the Union Public Service Commission. Now, see the tussle between the state government and central government. The Supreme Court judgment is there, which in Prakash Singh, which said that you have to appoint the DGP, the head of police force, 3 months in advance of the vacancy. You have to appoint the head of police force. Now, West Bengal sat on this appointment for 2 years and did not send the name. Now, West Bengal sends the name in July of last year, 2025. I am to retire. I meaning that my client had to retire on 31st of January. Now, just because the central government, Home Ministry, did not want to let this man become the DGP of an opposition state just prior to the elections and have a 3-year fixed tenure, the central government used its nominees in the UPSC to delay as simple as sitting and making a panel and sending it to state government for more than 6 months. And then we had to go to court. Court repeatedly passed orders. Ultimately, court said on 27 January, the state government will send you the names, and 28 January, you will have the meeting of the panel, and 29th, you will make the recommendation to the state so that on 31st of January, before retiring, this man has a chance to be promoted. Despite that order of the tribunal, despite the fact that the Chief Secretary of West Bengal came and sat in Delhi for 2 days, I'm told, because she was to be part of this empanelment committee, brazenly the central government files a writ petition in the High Court to challenge that order, does not take any steps to get it listed, and nonchalantly lists this 1 day before and presents a fait accompli, and that man retires on 31st of January. So this is what I'm talking about, that today every institution is politicized. Until you insulate the police knows that I am so dependent on my political masters. How will I not listen to them? My promotion, my transfer, my career, my suspension, everything is related to how my political masters view my performance.
Right. No, but
So until you
Sanjoy,
are,
as far as the legality aspect is concerned, how legal is it or how ethical? Forget the ethics of it. I'm talking about the legal and the jurisdictional point of view. That can a Delhi police walk into another state without informing the police of that state and just arrest people?
absolutely not. In fact, there are well-established norms that if you want to exercise your power of investigation or arrest or any other police power, see, police is a state subject. Every state has its own police force. CBI investigation is also subject to state consent because law and order is a state issue. Now, if this one state's police power ends at the borders of that state. If you now want to exercise your police power outside your state, you have to take that state's police into confidence. Because ultimately, if there's a law and order problem over there, that police has to deal with it. So normally the procedure, the protocol is that the police officer goes to the jurisdictional SHO. For example, let us say the West Bengal police comes to arrest me. Let us say I am in Tilak Nagar. I stay in Luton's, Delhi. I don't. I'm saying assume. Then they will have to go to the Tilak Nagar police station, the jurisdictional SHO, and say, we have come to arrest Mr. Sanjay Ghosh. He is living within your jurisdiction. Please come and either intimate to him or give me assistance in executing my purpose. Then the local police will either say, okay, I've noted it, you go ahead, or the local police will say, I'll come with you and we will assist you in the process. Now that has not been done. In fact, it is, we are seeing this very, very unsavory case of actually police being used against police. You've seen that happening in Assam and Meghalaya. You have now seen it happening in Himachal and Delhi. In fact, you saw it last year or year before last, and public memory is short, when there was that T-shirt manufacturer and internet troll. I forget his name, Bagga or someone. Who there was a criminal case filed against him.
Yes, Tejinder Bagga.
Yes, a criminal case was filed against him in the state of Punjab. And of course, he had the protection of the powers that be in Delhi, and hence the Delhi police. So, in fact, the local police in Punjab who had come to arrest Bagga were actually detained and were not allowed to cross Haryana and come into Delhi by the Haryana police and the Delhi police. So you have this kind of, thing that is happening.
But also what I'm reading, that the Himachal Pradesh police seized one Delhi police vehicle while they were going back to Delhi. Now, what is that? I mean, and many people would say that, Delhi police has been paid back in the same coin by the Himachal Pradesh police. Sanjoy, and then I'll come to Rajlakshmi.
See, I really don't want to comment on that because I personally feel that one wrong doesn't justify another wrong. But right. Of course, if you're seeing the person who committed the wrong first, it is the Delhi police in this particular case. And what is happening today is a matter of international shame. And I hope to God that these people, the people in charge, have the sense to let their initial impulse of vendetta, initial impulse of their pride or assuaging their pride be controlled and deal with it as a mature democracy would deal with it.
So this whole aspect, Sanjoy, and then I'll come to Rajlakshmi, about the federal structure. It speaks a lot on how the federal structure, the administrative machinery is collapsing in a way. If this is the manner in which the police of the two states have to conduct, then what does it go to show as far as the federal structure is concerned?
Yes, absolutely. Sanjoy. Absolutely. In fact, straying from law, which is my domain, and if you permit me to just say, make a political observation, which I normally don't do. One of the reasons why I really was looking forward to Mr. Modi's regime in 2014 was because he was a prime minister who was then a chief minister who said, I am a leader of an opposition state. I know how it is to be an opposition leader. I know how it is to be discriminated. I know how it is to be a stepchild of the center. And I really expected that you will have a prime minister for once who has had the tremendous experience, 2 or 3 terms, I think, as an opposition chief minister. And a person who will respect the federal structure, who will not discriminate on the basis of which political party is ruling where. And I don't have to tell you what has been the experience in the last 12 years. You've had the opposition states, the governors being made instruments where the governors are now so touchy, they won't even read the mandatory, the speech in the assembly in the opening session. The governors will sit over all the bills, despite scathing remarks by the Supreme Court. The funds to be released from the central grant, now you have a GST system where the entire funds go there. The fund release will be stopped on some flimsy one ground or the other. And you are seeing what is happening in these kind of, in this situation. So what I'm
Right.
saying is that this is extremely, extremely sad.
Right. Okay. Mr. Yashovardhan Azad, the former IPS officer, also has joined us. So thank you so much for joining. And we were discussing this standoff between the Delhi police and the Himachal Pradesh police. It's typical in a Bollywood style. The police comes, arrests people, goes back. There's a midnight court appearance, and then finally a transit remand given. And then the Indian Youth Congress workers are taken back to Delhi finally. What does this story speak? It's not that it's happening for the first time, but the brazenness, the callousness with which this jurisdictional violation, administrative violation, or whatever you could call it, is playing out. What does it go to show? Yes, Mr. Azad.
Well, in the kind of system we are operating, this is bound to happen again and again. First of all, it's the fault of both the police, because basically police has become the most loyal arm of the ruling party. So first is that this shirtless project, which was one of the most unique projects, I would say, embarked upon by the Youth Congress, a stupid one at that. But unfortunately, it didn't invite any kind of a criminal offense. I mean, people say it didn't, I'm saying it didn't even attract any kind of a bailable offense. It was just a violation of prohibitory order. They didn't have AK-47. They didn't fire in the air. There was no violence. There was nothing. So basically, the police knew that there is nothing to arrest except violation of prohibitory orders. So, but on directions, they arrested. And the funniest, laughable thing is that a remand was taken. And a remand was taken for what? What had to be discovered? So they said, no, conspiracy. Now, conspiracy of what kind? Against the nation, sedition, I don't know what. So that's the first thing. Second is when they marched into Himachal, 20 men led by an ACP. Why did they take 20 men? For the simple reason they realized that that is another police loyal to the HP government. So they took 20 men. So when they went there and they arrested, I mean, yes, they should have intimated the local police. They should have apprised them of the FIR, and then with their help, they would have got them. So they realized that the local loyal police will not help them. So they did it on their own. Then the loyal police of Himachal objected. As usual, it was expected because something of this kind happened in the Kurukshetra battle which took place. You remember when Bagga was arrested from Delhi.
Yes,
Some tweet affected some people in Haryana, in Punjab. So the team marched from Delhi. There was another. It's absolute theater of the absurd. So anyway, but the loyal police of Himachal did its act. And the court gave the transit remand at 1 a.m. Imagine how critical this case was, implying terrorism, sedition. There was everything in this particular case. Now, the third thing, why were those three guys relaxing in resort in a Congress-ruled government? There were three of them. That is because one guy was from MP and two of them were from UP. They were from the double engine government. There you won't even need a constable to go and arrest them. They could have been arrested by Wi-Fi if you're in UP, because if there's anything, whether it's a case or not, they would have been handed over like on a dish. So here, this shows what we are in for. I mean, this is the biggest joke of our system. And now what will happen? The best of lawyers like Mr. Sanjay Ghosh will be arraigned on either side. They will be discussing constitutional liberty, conspiracy, and from the district DJ court, it will go to the High Court and the Supreme Court, who just struck down, the corruption. They struck down corruption from the NCRT books. That's it. Why should people object? I mean, I don't see any reason why anybody should object. Corruption is ruled out, finished. That's the way to deal with these things. So that is what I feel about this particular case. It has happened before. It will happen again. It's a severe, severe indictment of the system. It has become a joke now. Let me tell you, if there was a police commissioner, he would have said, I won't arrest. They could have just said, you couldn't have done anything. And if they would have transferred him, it would have made such a hue and cry. His career would have been made. I don't know why they don't object. These kind of idiotic orders should not be obeyed. Not one. But the point is, look at the senior hierarchy. The Home Secretary, he's just a babu. He's a clerk. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't interfere. Chief Secretary doesn't do anything. If it's a state, then the Director General of Police, nothing. They just sit there, wear the tie, go at 9, come back at 5, have a good day, and after that they become director of some PSUs like BSNL. So now that we have this system, what can you say? And by the way, the last thing, and that is what I say, if you don't have any operational freedom for the police, you don't post the right people, this will continue. No chief minister is for police reform. None of them want to give any kind of operational independence to the police. And therefore, this will continue.
Right. So you're saying that there is no way we can stop this really. Now coming to the politics of it, Rajlakshmi, how do you see it playing out? Of course, Delhi has a BJP government, Himachal Pradesh has a Congress government, and the manner in which the two states have gone about handling this shirtless project, and what does it go to show now?
Well, I think the Congress should go to town about this. I mean, considering the fact that that the seventh schedule has been, I mean, in a sense, violated because law and order and public order being still
Really. Now coming
subjects.
to the politics of
Yeah, yeah. Can you hear me? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So I was saying that I think it should have actually come to some kind of logical end. But I think that the ruling dispensation here at the center, it wants to prolong this. I mean, it makes really no sense. I mean, sending your resources, scarce resources, let me put it, of the Delhi police to go and round up people in other states, right? And I mean, it's all a waste of taxpayers' money, if you ask me. And I think Mr. Azad has really put it so well that the independence and the as well as the autonomy of the police at the higher ranks, I mean, has to be sort of respected. And I think it's also, I think, a lack of spine, I think, amongst several police officers, I mean, of this generation, who are unable to take a stand against the executive. So they just follow orders,
no, but
and
Rajlakshmi, you
they
were
just,
saying that
yeah.
Congress has an upper hand as far as the narrative building on this particular
Yes,
episode is concerned. Like you
yeah.
said that they should go to towns
Yeah,
about this.
everybody is seeing, the ridiculousness of this whole situation. It was a harmless, peaceful protest, by a handful of people. Okay, whether they had their shirts on or their shirts off was totally sort of immaterial, right? And the fact that they were protesting, and then I don't think there were prohibitory orders at the summit that one couldn't sort of gather, I mean, as Section 144, etc. I don't think there was a prohibitory orders at the summit. In any case, it was a handful of people, and it could have been easily been handled with a certain amount of, I mean, it could have been handled easily without giving grist to the mill, as now the Congress has. So I think that this whole thing has been blown out of proportion. It's a waste of taxpayers taxpayers money, but then the Congress stands to gain by this, because it all shows how, I mean, how much, undemocratic we have become as a country. I mean, we don't have spaces, to protest also, Nilu. All those spaces have been restricted. You go to Jantar Mantar, it's like, a Jalanwala Bagh, enclosure with a little narrow gate. If any time a stampede, I mean, can, occur if there are more people inside. So and then Ramlila grounds. I mean, they can easily sort of, in fact, the Delhi police often, in fact, refuses permission, rather than grant. So that's become the norm of not allowing people to protest. When people sort of came on the streets, in support of Palestine, in fact, the world over there have been protests. The huge protests in the US, in the also in Europe, etc. But here, I mean, a small group of people, I mean, they're immediately sort of rounded up by the police, and detained. I mean, this is shocking. I mean, other than the fact that we've, as a country, have had a historic commitment to the state of Palestine and have always stood by the Palestinians, but at that apart. So I think there's just an overkill and overreach. I mean, in every sense. I mean, central agencies can go and sort of round up, I mean, anybody they want to, and any member of the opposition they want to. So yes, the federal structure has been undermined, as Sanjay also sort of pointed out. It's been constantly hacked, underneath. And,
Right.
so we've seen how I mean, how like agencies have been, misused, repeatedly in the past 1 decade or so. Yeah, Neha.
Right. So the federal structure clearly has been undermined, but we do talk, the government keeps talking about a cooperative federalism. I don't know what cooperative federalism they talk about, but for the final round of comments, I'll come to you, Sanjay. So what are the learning lessons from this particular episode for you as a lawyer? Because you also have to deal with cases like these. And as Mr. Azad said, that there's no end to these kind of cop versus cop thrillers. I'm sure more is going to come in the coming days. So what are the learning lessons, and how do you plan to take about these cases? Sanjay, can you hear me? Sanjay, can you hear me? He's lost my audio. Okay, so I'll come to, yeah. Can you just reconnect? I think there's a problem from your end. I'll come to Mr. Azad for the final comments. That, like what you said, that there is no end to this cop versus cop thriller. More is yet to happen. What are the learning lessons for the police, or for the policemen, or they do not have options but to obey the orders of the master?
Well, I think, MS Raja Lakshmi ji has already pointed out a number of things on this, that how the cooperative federalism has been, attacked, breached completely, and how we need a kind of a semblance of order from all sides. So, first thing I would say is that there must be some kind of a restraint shown from both sides. Both sides. I'll give you a very simple example. See what happened in Israel. Whatever it is, whether we are our Indian Prime Minister speaking in Israeli Parliament, and he got a great ovation and everything, and he spoke well also in English, well measured, good speech. Now, notice the opposition leader there, he was against Netanyahu. So he did not enter the house while Netanyahu was speaking. But when Mr. Modi went inside as Israeli welcoming an Indian, he went inside and cheered him completely. What I'm saying is there should be bipartisan respect for law from both sides. It can be done. If one stops from one side, I think the other side will also stop. The question is, who will bell the cat? Because, I mean, shirtless project may be a stupid project. In our days, we would call these fellows, give them one slap each, then also, jalebi and rasgulla, and say, don't do it again, now get out. This is how we used to do it. It was a crude and method, but a very simple method, and that is how things would be. This is what should have been done even now, and it would have been a great thing. It would have died down completely. So that is one way to look at it. I don't know, because this is the same thing which is happening in the House. Even the opposition on some of the issues, they need not create such a kind of furor and block, because we are being affected as public. If Parliament does not run, I feel very pained, because I feel many of my issues are not being taken up. So yes, it requires a kind of sagacity. But one thing, Niluji, let me tell you, that it must come from the ruling party. It's always, because they are ultimately in the government. They should show a little bit of more maturity, generosity, and so that, the other side also. For us, very simple thing, I'll say, that for a thing like, anything on security, on foreign policy, where is the harm in calling the leader of opposition in for a meeting? Where is the harm in Mandapam, for example? You should have given LOP the pride of place to come and sit down. That is our democracy all about. So that's one suggestion, I think. I don't know whether they'll accept it or not, but that is the only way I think we can go forward.
Okay, so Rajlakshmi, what would you really say towards the end? Then we'll close the program. Yeah.
Well, I'd say that that it's really sort of making too much out of nothing. I mean, which is what the present government seems to be doing. And so what if there are, if there are protests? In fact, even at the peak of the Iraq conflict, in the early 90s, when the US president came to India, there have been protests against front of the US embassy. So it's not that, we have a glorious history of peaceful protests and satyagraha. So this could have been sort of taken in that stride, in that spirit. But if every act of protest, every act of democratic protest is seen as an anti-national act, that is something which I don't think the people of this country will accept it. So yeah, more or less.
All right. So we'll have to end it here. Thank you so much, Mr. Azad, for joining. Raj Lakshmi, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.